Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guile here, and welcome back to the coverage of the Galaxy Cup Q3 rounds 1 to 3, as you can plainly see by the scrolling rolling text at the bottom of your screen. That's right. I thought we'd had enough of a rest. I did actually want to be getting through this a little quicker than I have been, I must admit, but I've still had to limit myself to one cast a week for the last few weeks. It's been a bit of a nightmare. Snowed under here. The wife and I are starting a photography business. And we're focusing on newborns, actually, but we got roped in to do a wedding because the wife can't say no. And while an advantage that was in getting her to marry me in the first place, it's not so great when you want to turn down business that you're not really up for doing, at least not really wholeheartedly. But it's come out okay. It's come out okay. Anyway, that's a massive tangent. Suffice to say, we're cracking on with it. It's going to be similar system as before. We've got rounds 1 to 3 in today's cast, and then the next one we do will be semi and the 2 in the final, and then we will move on to grand final territory. Probably throw in some more team games there in between. Let's get on with today's sets of games, though. The first one, round 1, taking place on Cadmium Green. I'm ready. You guys are ready, and the players are sure as hell ready. So let's go on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. Chang. Ka-chang. Where is it? Where is it? You're taking forever to pop up on my screen. Why are you doing this to me? There it is. I have no idea what that's about. So Cadmium Green. Cadmium, of course. The atomic number 48, if you will. That's right. You learn a little something here from Galcast. Uses the pigments in various dyes and paint. And presumably they had a green map, whoever designed this, and couldn't think else what else to go with it. But there we are. It's a simple 1v1 format. Haven't had a map like this before, I don't think, or at least any coverage of this in a previous Guile cast. Very spread out mass points. Forestry reclaim here and there. Not a lot of rocks, it seems, at least not in the center. Plateaus that can be scaled through different entrances. But otherwise, pretty nondescript. Let's take a look at our players. Up here at the top left, we have Aleg Dagio Bikiraj. People love it from whatever country he's from when I try and attempt that name. We call him Aleg, and he's going UEF and Halib Orange opening first land. And his opponent down here at the bottom right in Burgundy Red, it's Inspector Cot. He's opening first land, going the second land. Oh, who knows? Who knows when you have this many? Yeah, second land and third air with a bazillion P-gens in between. Let's go to split screen so we can keep an eye on their glorious openings. We know how you like their glorious openings here at Guilecast. It's a feature, if you will. In fact, Aleg is being cryptic. He's going to send the engineer out, one of his early engineers, to start the hydro, give that some assistance with the comm. And I'm going to go on a limb and say number 2 is going to be an air factory when he gets that complete. Inspector Cot, as we said, went for number 2. He went 2 P-gens, so went factory, 2 P-gens, core mass, and then another 3 P-gens, land factory, engineers out to build the hydro. And there are these little craters next to the main base. There's a decent amount of reclaim in there. Oh, that's so annoying. That only highlights it on the one screen. That's infuriating, but we can take a look at how much mass there is by Aleg's. There you go. So that sort of gives you an idea. There's 10 mass of rock, and there's a whole bunch of them in there. And what did I tell you? Aleg went straight for an air factory next to the hydro, and he's going air factory 2 and 3 there in his opening build. So that's what we're looking at. Inspector Cot getting the 3 P-gens, land factory, and then, what is it? 3 more P-gens, air factory, 4 more P-gens. So very much a scaled approach on his opening. First few offensive units rolling off the conveyor belts now for both of these guys. Strikers and Snoops, the order of the day. And we've already got, off the back of that first air factory from Aleg, straight in with a courier. That transport loading up with 3 NGs. Where is he taking it? That's going out east, presumably going to be dropping engineers off at different points to increase his rate of expansion. How very sensible. Where is Inspector Cot going with his early Mantis? And they are all Mantis. No lab play here from either of our 2 players. I think we can afford to go to single screen now. Openings examined to everybody's regret or surprise or appeasement, depending on your point of view. Straight over here to another mass field. So that's a pretty big crater that will be mirrored down here. Big old mass field there to be taken advantage of. And that's right where Aleg's gone. He's gone for that eastern mass field with 3 NGs. Going to throw down 4 land factories, pick up a mass extractor. That's a mass point there. No, excuse me, that's not a mass point there at all. He's going to throw down a radar for a little bit of intel coverage on that portion of the map. And he'll be hoping, of course, to grab control of everything in that crater. And the problem is there are Cybran reinforcements turning up as we speak. Snoop over here has the advantage with that whopping 2 DPS he has on board that little trike or bike or whatever it is. But no, he's going to wuss out, assuming more are coming his way. Could have stuck around to finish off that mole. That mole with the whopping 15 hit points that he has of base. A couple of strikers now to reinforce this position. It's a shame he didn't go straight for a T1 PD. Would have given him a place to withdraw to. Above all, he must hold on to the NGs. He has got an operational land factory, so he's going to be having reinforcements appear all the time. In comes an engineer, ill-advisingly starting his reclaim mission early. Will not go down in the annals of UEF history with much glory. So far, Mantis just about holding the field, but we've got 3 land factories online now. There's no way Inspector Cott is shooing him away over there. Engineers dispatched. Mass pump construction paused. Another couple of vulnerable engineers here, but Aleg pulls his comm. Knocks out one of the Mantis. The other is out of range, though. Could bag a couple of kills here with a little bit of skillful micro. Sticking around to wail away on the NGs, worried about T1 reprisals. Going to continue to head to the back where, if he's lucky, he might score a mass point kill here, but he has got a striker bearing down on him. I think he's probably gonna, I don't know, tough call, taking a long time to chew through that mechs. Switches up to the striker, which has more hit points, and he was already badly damaged. His best bet was to try and stay on the mechs, but I think everybody's agreed he wasn't going to score that once he broke to engage the striker. Down he goes. Aleg holds on to that. Another couple of Mantis threatening the front line. Another courier with 4 engineers being airlifted, but that's dangerous. That's been spotted. In come the interceptors from Inspector Cott. There's no, or virtually no, defensive air coverage protecting that courier. Down it goes. 4 engineer casualties, and that's might not sound it, but that's quite a lot to lose in one go at this stage. Those interceptors will all be wiped out except for one by Aleg's defensive air force, but definitely could have got away with not losing that. But Inspector Cott has pulled his comm and sent him up to the top right. He's not happy about Aleg's expansion plans over here. T1 PD with defensive wall sections operational, but that's slowly getting taken down, prioritizing the commander. Inspector Cott does get pushed into the yellow. 7,300 hit points remain there, but it's a lot of Mantis backup. Another PD under construction in this forward base. Another one queued up over here. 3 land factories at full production, but you would imagine that Inspector Cott should be able to bully this position with his comm and take it out. A couple of overcharges over here. Take care of the engineers and the PD. Of course, it's in an ideal world. Inspector Cott doesn't have access to overcharge. Taking a lot more damage than he would like. Does get rid of the PD. Engineers back up over here and start work on more defensive emplacements. Desperately doesn't want to lose this, and I can understand it. And Aleg has pulled his commander and is making a play for the bottom left crater as well. And this time, he should have no problems in holding the position for the time being. Engineers in play down here. Have not set up shop. No land factories operational for our Cybran player. Two PDs online this time. This could be a mistake from Inspector Cott. Gets a little bit of regen on the comm and then engages once again. And this time he's hopelessly outmatched. And deep into the red now. 1700, 1600. Strays out of range of those T1 PDs very wisely indeed. But that's a badly damaged commander now. And he's really going to find it difficult to dislodge Aleg from this eastern position. Inspector Cott surely going to have to withdraw, and there's now 5 operational land factories in the area for Aleg, who's also setting up shop down here. Inspector Cott did bag about, well, maybe about a third, somewhere in between a quarter or a third of the reclaim in the crater here. Reclaim-wise, Aleg leads the pack 5.9 to 4.7k. And he's also ahead on generator eco by about 2 mass per tick. He pretty much has all of this to pick up still if he can dislodge Inspector from the crater itself. Inspector throws down a land factory. Not a huge amount of prioritization in manufacturing going on to this position. T1 bomber out over the base for Aleg. Heading down to the bottom right, but Hallow, what have we got here? A couple of jesters, and this is a solid push now from Inspector Cott. He desperately wants to take control of this position. And you know what? This is a big two-pronged attack on the way. Aleg starting work on some land factories. He might have set himself up nicely, but his comm is very exposed. There's quite a few units on the ground here for Inspector Cott. He has got a T1 bomber out. If I were him, I would redirect them to harass the T1 spam over here. Comm looking a little vulnerable. Meanwhile, up in the top right, Jesters go to town on the land factories and the emplacements. In come the interceptors to deal with those. Looked for a minute like Inspector Cott was going all in on Aleg's comm. Aleg doesn't have access to overcharge either. In come the Mantis. They find the commander and they prioritize it. Where are the bombers? There's one bomber lurking towards the center for Aleg. He could do with some assistance there. We're only 11 minutes in, and this would be such a shame for Aleg after a strong start in the top right. If he capitulates here, we're slowly losing Mantis, though. He's down to around half his health, and he's not in too much danger anymore. I don't think Inspector Cott was anywhere near where he needed to be. I think it's something like 20 T1 units to effectively combat an unupgraded commander. And just didn't have enough. Inspector Cott regenning comfortably. One of the few benefits, of course, of the Cybran commander in the early stages. That regen he gets, having a lot of base health. But when you have a tough run, you get back into the fight quicker than you can if you're playing one of the other races. And instead of trying to push the agenda up here and wipe this, I think he knows this is probably a lost cause now. He's moving towards the center with his spam and his comm. Aleg now running 35 to 21, and Inspector Cott needs a big win somewhere, and somewhere soon, if this is allowed to continue. Surely Aleg is going to pull the win here. Inspector Cott will be relegated to that losers bracket. I'm debating about whether to do some losers games from the Q3. I did get sent some of those from Josh, or Rowie, as you guys will know him, the tournament director. Have to give them a peruse at some point and see what he sent me. I gotta say, I do like these tournaments where people give me the highlights. It does make my life easier. So if you're a tournament director and you want to be featured on the channel, guys, just send a handy little zip file of the clutch games, and I'm much more likely to cover it, because I'm nothing if not a lazy toad. T1 bomber out in the bottom left-hand corner for Inspector Cott. Targeting vulnerable land factories and units, and that whole blob of T1 spam we saw in the middle now shifting towards the bottom left. Has he left this push too long? Will he lose out in the bottom left and the top right? Well, one thing's for certain, Inspector Cott's ACU is exceptionally vulnerable. Is Alleg aware of the positioning? Yes, he is. He's got some intel coverage down. He's got a large group of spam from that top right-hand corner, which is drifting towards the bottom left to reinforce this position. If he can forge a confluence between his units here and the units over here and land them on Inspector Cott's comm, that will be all she wrote. Inspector Cott trying to join up with his spam over here. I'm wondering if this is an all-out push on the main base. It's beginning to look more and more like it. And he's so far behind on eco. This is the sort of maneuver I guess he feels he needs to make. We've got defensive emplacements, quite a lot of them. We've got 3 down here, another one down here in the bottom left crater. And, well, the less said about the top right, the better from Inspector Cott's point of view. That is well and truly entrenched. Alleg finds himself with encroaching Cybran forces moving towards his commander, but he's dealing with the one unit at a time. And this big group of spam has now been whittled down to virtually nothing. And Inspector Cott, is that a GG? Shift G's all day. Wouldn't be surprising if he was calling it. It really does look like a bit of a lost cause after 15 or so minutes. Inspector Cott with bombers overhead, prioritizing the comm. Lots and lots of T1 spam surrounding the commander. Surely that's Inspector Cott relegated to the losers bracket. He'll have to win some extra games if he wants to make a play for the grand final. Well played, Alleg. He was in the driving seat there for pretty much all of that. I think you guys will all agree. Hopefully I won't make the same mistake I made at the first rounds of the qualifying, where the sound for this video is playing over the top. I don't think it is. Let's just scroll down to see. No, it should all be functioning as intended. So you can enjoy the pretty visuals of the original SOPCOM intro while I waffle over the top and wait for the next replay to boot. And there it is. So we can go straight into the next one, which is Open Palms. Yes, indeedy. The quintessential Open Palms from the original SOPCOM. And we know what we're dealing with here. Let's take a look at our players. Up here at the top left going Cybran in combat green. It's Bulldozer Noob. He's opening first land. And his opponent at the other nook in the bottom right-hand corner, it's none other than Nexus, formerly Nexus of Reality, of course, in his ever so customary fecal brown, going his customary UEF, opening first land. Speaking of openings, let's examine. Okay, one at each nook. As we head down here, I think we can afford to give these guys a little extra bump while they get set up. So we had Land Factory, 1 P-Gen, then Core Mass from Bulldozer. Land Factory, nothing but Core Mass for Nexus. Engineer, first one out straight to the Hydro. First Engineer straight out to the Hydro as well. It's just Bulldozer's giving himself a little extra leeway on that power with that 1 P-Gen. Engineer straight over there, and he's going Hydro, 1, 2, 3, 4 P-Gens, Air Factory, P-Gen, P-Gen, Land Factory, P-Gen, P-Gen, P-Gen. Got that? Good, because I'm not repeating it. What is Bulldozer doing with his time down here at the bottom? We've got Engineer, so we've got Hydro, Land Factory, P-Gen, 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 Air Factory, and then on from there, 1, 2, Land Factory, PGen, Land Factory. It's just a mess, an absolute mess. But you get the picture. And yes, I'm not repeating that either because let's face it, it went pretty badly the first time. So let's go to... One of these days I'm going to hit the end key instead of the home key first time on bringing us back to full screen. So a Mech Marine on each side of the central plateau for Nexus with a Snoop. That's going to head forward and run into a Mantis over on the left, and that's going to come off second best as you'd expect. Snoop turns around, but Mech Marine number 2 over on the right has free access potentially to some juicy engineer loving, which if he moves in now he should manage to get a kill. Bulldozer, you would imagine, would be expecting this, and in come the obligatory Mantis to try and save little old Tommy's life, who's very unconcerned about the ecological damage he's causing over there. Tries to block some of those shots there with a couple of wall section builds. I like the thinking, doesn't come out too well for him. So one engineer down, Mech Marine survives, is presumably going to head on round the back and try and make life difficult over at the top left hand corner for Bulldozer, as you'd expect. Those Mantis that were sent in to intercept but didn't get there in time, they're going to push on around the right hand corner and they're going to make trouble down here. At least that's the plan for Bulldozer. Scout plane out for our Cybran player right over the top. Mantis that scored the kill on the Mech Marine to the left of the plateau continues on over to the right. Nexus is advancing with his commander. He's not going to catch the Mantis, but the strikers over here just might. In fact, he's continuing to move his commander over here. Engineer in jeopardy potentially, but no, the strikers have it all under control. Will live to fight another day, and that cheeky little Mech Marine that scored the first engineer kill of the game has made it right around the back of the Nook and is rolling in to engage the mass extractor. He wants to prioritize the engineer. Doesn't switch up on that. That was a direct attack order. Engineer just rolls in and reclaims while Nexus's attention is otherwise entertained elsewhere. Defending strikers shoo away an encroaching Mantis. Both of these players typically choosing alternate sides of the map to advance with their comm. All pretty standard meta. It's always nicer when they do pick alternative sides. The replays in the games seem to last longer that way. I don't know why, but it just always seems to balance out better. Makes perfect sense, I suppose, when you consider it's inherently dangerous having two ACUs in such close proximity. Inherently dangerous. See if any of you guys can work out which film I was thinking of there. I will give you 100 Guile respect points if you were thinking what I was thinking when I said that. Or even if you managed to find it on Google, you managed to get 10 respect points. Not that you'll admit that that's how you worked it out, because you never do. Whenever I ask these questions, you tear off to Google, I'm sure of it, and then act like you and I are on the same page, when we clearly weren't. Nexus advancing with his comm, going to grab a Mex that's now officially, I think it's fair to say, on Bulldozer's side of the map. Ever increasing numbers of Mantis over in the east. Not enough to worry a commander who's going to be happy blapping those as he goes. Still no energy storage online for Nexus. But he doesn't need overcharge yet. Pretty comfortable with dispatching those units. Hasn't managed to grab bottom right corner though. Mantis making a nuisance of themselves. He's queued up a land factory down there as Nexus, but needs to find a way to get an engineer in there. It's probably that NG. Yeah, That's the one that's planning to get down there. Doesn't want to run into this Mantis, however. Nexus, though, look at him go. Advancing to the natural expansion up at the top. Throwing down some mexes. Being very blasé about things. Bit of an engagement just to the right of the Nook. That's going to go the way of Bulldozer, who has the numbers. So, instinct tells me Nexus not looking to hold this for any significant length of time, but he's just using the time he's got to get some extra mass by throwing down some T1 mechs as well. You know what? I could have that read all wrong. I was interpreting the lack of build orders for land factories up here, that he wasn't serious about holding it, but lo and behold, he's going to throw one down right over here, and that is ambitious to say the least, especially when you consider he can get himself completely cut off from the rest of his forces and his main base. Bulldozer being just as aggressive now on the other side. Hasn't made a play for the natural core mass down here. Mantis pushing this position over in the east. There is T1 PD online though. Has a bit of intel, its own radar, so that will be the end of that little bit of pressure. Bulldozer looking to quite literally Bulldozer Nexus. He's right at the base. Neither player making a move for the corner plateaus up at the top. 6 redundant mexes. And Nexus only just getting units down here to be sure that that's all clear of hostiles. Guessing the engineer did fall foul of that Mantis that we saw earlier. That looks very much like a wrecked UEF engineer. Dear old Todd thought he had the best mission in the world. Turn out too well for him. The Nexus, for the time being, still under command of this little group of mexes. Has control. Had been working on a T1 PD, but the engineer in question got blacked by something. Bulldozer withdrawing to a more defensible position just to the left of the central plateau there. Central plateau had been grabbed by Bulldozer, or at least had some mexes constructed on it. Wasn't being held by any kind of military force. Now Nexus dismantling those mexes as he goes. Time in the map when territorial control seems to be normalizing across the map's meridian. Large group of fecal brown UEF tanks. Trying to stop Bulldozer from holding on to this portion of the map now that he's been pushed off his forward position. And yeah, it really was an ambitious land factory that Nexus threw down there. It was very unlikely to succeed. Scout planes hovering down the bottom left there. As you can see, Nexus potentially getting interested at dropping onto those plateaus. Do we have any transports on the way? Just interceptors for the time being, it would seem. Taking a quick break to examine where we're at in terms of eco. 60 to 45. We claim Bulldozer way in the lead, 4.2 to Nexus's 1.9. Total mass, Bulldozer still about a K ahead because of that, but that's not going to last very long. Bulldozer breaching in force back onto the central plateau now. Lots of Mantis making a move up the middle, taking no time at all to dispatch those UEF mexes. Nexus counterattack. He certainly doesn't want to sit there absorbing the juicer fire. Attempted a run by over here. Not sure when these mexes were destroyed. I'm imagining that's just happened. Would make sense. And now we have operational transports on the map for Nexus. 3 NGs on board, and they're going straight for the top plateau. No transports visible for the time being from Bulldozer. 12 minutes gone. He's behind generated eco, certainly. Actually, he's not. 59 to 59. It's even. That's likely to change when Nexus drops up to the top right. Let's do a quick head count on basic T1 spam. 137 Mantis on the field, 117 strikers, so numerical advantage for your standard basic T1 spam. Not going to get into map-wide artillery numbers. This guy's definitely prioritising the assault bots and tanks, looking at the body of their force. But we have a transition to T2 from Nexus, starting to see some pillars on the field. And do we have T2 tech from Bulldozer? Yes, we do. He is working on, I never know the difference between, I think that's a Rhino. Is that a Rhino or a Wagner? It's a Rhino. Always get confused by those icons for some reason. Courier returning, having dropped off its cargo. 3 engineers getting to work on a land factory up on the plateau. Another land factory queued up over there. T1 PD, radar, the full shebang. But a distance build up the cliff will be enough to give Bulldozer a presence over here. I don't know if that was scouted. I think it probably was. You see a returning air scout coming back over the top now. And engineers streaming in up over here, and I think that was cancelled plans, changed up for land factory construction on that. Now Courier making another move, this time we imagine over here. Yep, the southern plateau, bottom left hand corner. Another 3 mexes to be gained there. There are engineers over here, so Bulldozer could do another quick distance build to get a presence on there. Avoid him having to switch up to transport production. Cheeky little run by, pulls down a Mex. Engineer just about to get a T1 PD online, not going to manage it. Strikers take care of business there. Those strikers, that little platoon will get wiped out, but definitely worth it. And now Nexus on the move once again with his commander, and this time he has T2 land support. Bulldozer in between 2 groups of T1 and T2 spam, but has so many units of his own and a little bit of emplacement coverage to hang around by. He's not being ousted anytime soon. More T2 land factories materialize in the main base of Nexus, who's pushed forward now. Where's he going with this little blob? He's just repositioning here for the time. Not rushing in to an assault on the main base or anything, but Nexus has already once again transferred control once more to the central plateau. Engineers, no, you don't want to go over there. There's lots of guns over there, and you don't have any guns. Have armor made out of cotton wool. Comfortable little exchange there. And would you look at how things are developing in the eco game? 75 to 61. Bulldozer has essentially stood still in the eco side of things. Another airdrop from a courier. This time it's not engineers, it's a couple of pillars reinforcing the position up top. No bad thing for Nexus, as his 1 factory's facing 3 on this plateau now. Pillars should give him a real edge now as he does face a larger numerical force. Hit points on the pillars, chewing through those Mantis. Pillar still remains. Engineers hurriedly working on more land factories there. But Nexus in control of the bottom plateau as well. We do have a distance build up here. Bullydozer able to reinforce that position now, but he's definitely behind on both plateaus. Well, I mean, potato, I suppose he's still a factory up here, but the initiative for the time being is with Nexus. Bullydozer trying to oust Nexus from the central plateau, which it looks like he's managed to do. Those units fall back to that little land gangway there. Bullydozer is unupgraded. Now Skyhook coming in for Bullydozer, airdropping, I would imagine, some T2 units or a T2 unit. He does. One Rhino airdropped into the fight. There's, however, been another couple of pillars brought in. So these guys doing phenomenal work in all of these different theatres. You're effectively looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different combat zones, different theatres running through the territory, but there's definitely ground being gained over in the west by Nexus, who has pushed Bullydozer back and now has T2 engineers in play with a Triad, with a plasma cannon, and that's what's forced Bullydozer back more than anything. That T2 point defense creating a large exclusion zone now from which Bullydozer needs to retreat. Either player making the most of their formations in this engagement over in the east. Income interceptors, but they are bingo on fuel. Won't be a massive amount of use in a fight. These inties up here, however, are in much better shape. Hard to say where that fight's going up on the eastern plateau, the northern plateau, whichever one you want to call it. Certainly no major commitment has been made on the opposite end of the map, and that plateau that's slowly getting whittled away now by some Lobos. In comes a drop, having just said that. Doesn't want to lose the factory, but he does lose it. And there are no more engineers in the area to rebuild a new one. They've been pushed back thanks to this bit of pressure over in the west. The Triad has gone down. That's been taken out by something, probably the Viper or some other long-ranged weapon, maybe a bomber. Has been another attempt to throw up some emplacements further forward, but Nexus has had to retreat. So Bullydozer not ousted from the west by any stretch of the imagination. Bullydozer would have been able to out-micro these Lobos with those Rhinos, but he's so consumed by everything that's going on, just didn't find the time to be able to micro his way out of that one. And Nexus just sweeping now. He's been countered in the west, but just forcing his way through in the east, and now Nexus airdropping a T3 unit up to the top, and that will be all she wrote for the top plateau, I'm sure of it. And that's a Percival. Nothing on the field in this portion of the map that's going to be capable to stand up to that. And we are getting an upgrade on the way at the HQ for Bullydozer, but that's still only 30% done, and the GG well played is put out. Control K from Bullydozer at 21 minutes, more or less on the nose. He knew when he was beaten he'd lost the position over here. He had T2 gunships harassing from the sky. Percival's already being airdropped about the map. There was just no way out of that. He had lost too much and was too far behind Nexus with a kill-loss ratio of 1.5. That's pretty good going. So comfortable win there for Nexus, who would advance then on to the next rounds. We'll open our holding video as we boot the next replay. And speaking of replays, guys, still getting people asking me after all this time how to submit a replay. Well, I'm not going to go into it because you know why? It's in the description below each and every one of my videos. So if you're ever curious, you have a good game you want to submit, just check out that little section and it will tell you how to do it. Let's go back to game number 3, which is on DeRosa's Sanctuary. If you can hear my son screaming in the background, it's because, well, I guess because Mummy wouldn't actually let me name him Percy. That's a reason to be upset, right? He could have been named after the greatest unit in the FAF franchise, or at least one of them as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, on to the game. We know what we're dealing with when it comes to DeRosa's. Let's take a look at our players up here at the top left. What on earth is that for an opening build? It's Obfuscation. Probably that's what it's all about. And he's going Seraphim in Regal Purple, opening first land, and then building 16 T1 P-Gens. Interesting. We'll come back and see if he actually is going to go through with that in just a second. Well, apparently it's part of the meta on DeRosa's because they're all doing it in various forms. His opponent down here at the bottom right is Oba Yuzao, and I apologize in advance for my pronunciation of that, which I'm 100% certain is incorrect. He's going first land. He's going UEF Mellow Yellow, opening first land, going second air. That second air factory will come, well, I don't know if it's the end of however many bajillion P-Gens he's building, but it's certainly not very soon after the land factory. Let's go and take a look. And I guess there's a lot of mass to be had on this map, and maybe that's why you do it. But quite frankly, that seems back to front. The left one should be on the left plane, surely. There we go. I don't know if these are glorious openings or as glorious or just insane, but clearly there's some meta here, which the uninitiated Guile, who doesn't get time to play this beautiful game anymore, hasn't been a party to. It would just be too random if these guys both decided to do something like this. Usually you see mass P-Gens being built early when you have huge quantities of mass that you just can't keep up with, but I wouldn't say there's that many mass points in early reach of exploitation. I suppose when you factor in the starting locations in the bottom. But this, I mean, I'm not arguing with these guys. It's both 1900, both evens. Obviously, they understand what they're doing here, so we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. We're also going to give this a +2 speed as well while they get set up. Factory number 2, interestingly, for Obfuscation. I can't remember this last time I casted this guy. Obfuscation. Apparently, it's a word that Guile doesn't know how to pronounce. That's just, it goes Obfuscation. Here he is, and opening first and second land. So not going for that early air factory. Factories 3, 4, 5, and 6 for Oba are going to be land factories. He's just basically going land all day, it would seem. There's the air factories. A little bit later out for Obfuscation. We've also got a scout plane out over the top. We're going to switch to some bomber play because he's got an opportunity here. Potentially, no. We're going straight for expansion while he knows it's safe to do so. Starting work on a courier. Oba making a play for one of the corners. You would imagine would be where he's going as these guys expand on out. Who's got the most efficient start? 15 to 11. 17 to 11 in favor of Obfuscation. 19 to 11. He's expanding very quickly indeed. Oba may have been power locked. Yeah, so it's not an accurate representation of these guys. They're having some power issues here and there. Obfuscation power locked. Jumps to 23 and then down again. But certainly in terms of early mass, Obfuscation seems to have the better run. And I did it! I went to single screen the first time. I'm learning. We'll see if we can manage to keep it up. Out comes a scout plane from Obs. It's not Obs, it's Obfus. I want to know, I just want to OB. I'm going to call him OB because it's just ridiculous, whoever designed that word. It's uncomfortable for me. 5 engineers successfully dropped off, immediately get work on a radar and a bajillion land factories. Are we going to see any bomber response out? I like what we see here. 3 interceptors just lying in wait to try and curtail OB from expanding. That courier might not make it for another trip. 4 inties locked onto him. Indeed it doesn't. That gets shot down. So expansion to the bottom left, or anywhere else for that matter, she'll have to wait. Early Tham and Selen rolling in towards the top right-hand corner, but it's just a little too late. We already have the first Striker and Snoop out, and there are soon to be 3 factories and counting operational in the top right-hand corner. Cheeky little Selen making life very difficult for the defending Striker there, but eventually gets blapped. Tham should take out the Striker first, but time more reinforcements piling up on both sides. Here is the opportunity. Can the Inti lock on? There it is. OB needs to get those engineers on the ground. That's going to be a horrible loss. There must have been 5 or 6 engineers on there. Easy. Oh man, when the dust settles, can we work out how many casualties were on board? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was a fully laden T1 transport. And what's even worse is he had the Intis to protect it. He just didn't do an effective sweep. Oh, he'll be kicking himself in there for that one. So, advantage to Uber Yuzhao in the early stages. He's the first to expand and the first to hold on to it. Excellent transport kill there from our UEF player. He's already got a presence in the center as well. Remember, there's a lot of reclaim here, potentially 4 T2 P-Gens. Another 4 mexes, other associated civilian buildings. Get some engineers in there. That's a huge win. Interceptors circling above Uber's base now, who is definitely behind in the air game. There's no question about that. However, the longer these Intis remain, the more we're going to get shot down by the ever-increasing amount of archers that are materializing. It's like fish in a barrel. They're not really serving any purpose. OB finally withdraws them. So Uber definitely getting the better run of the opening so far. 66 to 52 generated eco, in control of the top right, and OB not in control of the bottom left as yet. Second transport away, fully laden once again, and no interceptors on the field now really for Uber to worry him about that getting shot down. That pretty confident that's going to make its destination down the bottom left. Those tanks haven't stuck around to secure the center. Instead, they're pushing on and trying to be aggressive. A lot of engineers down here that could be capitalizing and cannibalizing the mass in the center. Total mass, Uber is 10k ahead already at 9 minutes. That's obscene, and that's something that you don't see many people come back from, so just be wary. And he's plowed a lot of those resources into upgrading his construction mechanisms. He's got T3 factory HQ online, several T2 factories to back it up already, and OBS going straight, or OB going straight for T3 air. So I kind of like that, to be honest. He's got relative air dominance, or has had for the last 5 minutes or so, so why not utilize that? Trouble is, getting those first strats out would be a huge win. and make use of it early on, you can get huge amounts done with it. And the question is, can you pump them out in relatively reasonable amounts of time with the huge quantity of power that it takes to produce them? Such an economic drain. Whereas a Titan or two entering service, there'll be much less of a drain on Uber's resources, which are, I was about to say, already comfortably ahead. Dropped, you had a power issue there, dropped below OB, but 97 to 69, you can see a clear advantage, and even more daylight on total mass accrued appearing between these two guys. Round 3, this will be for a automatic spot in the semi-final. Two ground armies merge, and thanks to the inclusion of some T2 units in there by Uber, that's going to be a complete curb stomping. Titans engaging down in the bottom left, just tearing it up. Credit where credit's due. I mean, he's still way ahead, and he's building up his eco all the time, which is now just running away. But he hasn't managed to cripple OB yet. You get the feeling that's on the horizon. But OB doing a pretty good job at holding on here. Has managed to expand to the bottom left, although that now looks under threat as that Titan force just breezes into town, carving himself fam-shaped steaks on the way in. Volthus turn up T2 gunships, so he didn't go straight for a strat, but he has produced one. So he got 3 T2 gunships, it looks like, online, and then switched up to the strat bomber, then went spy plane. What have we got facing him in the air down on the bottom? Still T1. So this could be a major breakthrough for OB if he can make this air strat work. Now where's he going? Strat bomber heading straight to the bottom right. Uber vulnerable potentially here. Bomb away, a lot of collateral damage on the engineers. It's going to take out both of those T2 P-gens. What's that done to his power grid? Power locked him hard, minus 1,000 net. That's going to wipe out some of his mass production. But it looks like, thanks to a flare over here, that bomber didn't get a second pass. But still, I think he'll take that. Has utterly crippled his power production. He still has one T2 P-gen over here. It's going straight for another T2 and trying to work on a T3 at the same time. Might be ambitious. Minus 1,200 net there or thereabouts. And Volthus trying to tackle the T2 and T3 spam that's heading up towards the main base now. So it's interesting. He wiped out the core mass down at the bottom left, but didn't stick around to gouge out all of OB's Seraphim presence. Instead, he's going to go straight in and try and cripple the top base with his Titans, and they are breaching into the main base now as we speak. Another strat bomber online. It looks like OB going to use that to defend. Very wise too. The last of the flak with the the last of the flak has not been destroyed. There's another archer and skyboxer coming in over here. Does he kill those first and then work on the Titans? Desperately doesn't want to lose that T3 P-gen, but it looks like he might be about to. Bombs away. What did that go after? It looks like it went over here. Gunships focusing in on the Titans, but it's actually the volatile explosion from the T3 power plant that took out all but one of the Titans. Bad unit placement there from Uber, but he's got so much going on, you can't blame him. And he is getting good work done here. Can he save? Can Obi save that last power plant? Yes, he can. Just one pillar remaining. And the forces should be able to hold on to that. Obi, do you have spare power? Yes, you do. Vitally important that he held on to that last T3 power plant, especially when you consider he is now trying to use his air power to great effect. Strap bomber with 8 kills. Could get a lot done here. I'm wondering if he's going to try and hit this top right base. That would be my next play if I were him. Very concerned about defending his base though. Interceptors rolling in to try and take care of that Syntha or Syntha. But there are ASFs now hovering over the middle. None of those inties get through. Strategic bomber down to around 60% of its health, but still perfectly viable and functional. Nice little group of T1 just to the northeast of center there from OB, taking out mexes and T1 units and engineers as they go. Unable to get re-established. There's more T3 units heading into the bottom left-hand corner. Uber might be content now to try and wipe out the Seraphim forces on this part of the map. He has got siege tanks facing him down there though, and Titans are poorly matched against those. Huge Alpha strike. Man, they need an attack command given though. Send the siege tanks in, defend the base. Vulfu's tearing it up over here, just to the southeast of OB's main base. And that Syntha deep into the red now, but does have 22 kills to its name and has successfully, almost single-handedly, I suppose along with the gunships, been responsible for the defense of that base in the top left. And that run-by did actually make it into the top right, but I don't know how long it's been sitting there. It's allowed the pillars in to engage. Doesn't look like those Thams are going to get anything else done. That force in the bottom left was indeed defeated, and that contingent of siege tanks has been dispatched out further to the east to stem the yellow tide, the yellow stream if you will, rolling in from the bottom right. Some nice imagery for you there. Do that in free of charge. It's what you get here at Guilecast. Is just getting picked off now by these Vulfus, and it has to be said this is one of the more successful air versus ground mismatches in favor of air that I've seen for a while. Ever since the inclusion of T3 mobile anti-air, this stratagem has found it harder and harder in practice to cut through, but OB working well here, but it could be coming to an end. Uber with 270 versus 156 has got his air game established. He's going to get good shield coverage up in the base now, and he's going for a nuke launcher because why not? And that could well signal the end of OB in this game. Very surprised if he's even contemplating strategic missile defense. He's been so on the back foot, just focusing on trying to establish equal map control and hold on to it, while at the same time upgrading his eco. This is a nice little maneuver here. 4 siege tanks on board. T2 transport heading, by the looks of things, to the top right. And that's going to cause problems for Uber here. Who's building a little TAC missile battery over just to the south of that position. Here come the ASFs, but just a tad too late. Those Othams are on the ground, and the attack command is given. Forces that were languishing here for Uber have been dispatched to defend this northeastern position. There are a lot of pillars here. How will the quantity of T2 fare against these 4 tanks? Try and keep a distance from the pillars if you can. Engineers over here constructing more defences. He needs really to be employing some more targeted strikes. Does manage to take down a factory. The engineers are all down now, so no more T1 PDs are going to be completed over there. Needs to take this one down. There it goes. Still 3 Othams alive. One is, however, very badly damaged. Otham's pushing out from down here as well, so you got the feeling that Uber is losing a bit of ground here, and OB coming back with a vengeance. 230 to 279 now in generated eco, making moves on or towards both of the main bases and securing the bottom left. Interesting dynamic. It was all really because Uber switched up, I guess, to T3 air production to try and wrestle back some dominance and control of the skies, and that's opened a door now for OB on the ground. Attack missile launchers firing, volley of 3 missiles out, and they're heading towards the main base. There's a spy plane out. ARAS on the way for OB. Is he paying attention? Is that where these missiles are headed? It looks like they're on course. He needs to cancel that and get moving and do it quickly. 3 missiles look like they might be enough. He has got a backpack on there. Will they be enough? Boom, baby! Yes, they will. Beautiful snipe by Uber. Just as it looked like he was losing the initiative in the game, takes out OB with a very targeted precision snipe at just the right time while he was casually going about his ARAS business. Unlucky for OB, just when it looked like you were fighting back, denied. So he goes down to the loser bracket. Uber advances to the semi-finals, and we shall have more coverage from the Q3 of Galaxy Cup in the coming days. But until next time, guys, this is Guile signing out. I should say, well, I forgot to wish you good journey. Stay well and stay safe, as I always do. But until next time, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile signing out.